What's up, trainers? Welcome back to another Pokemon TCG deck breakdown. Today we're going to be breaking down the Rayquaza VMAX deck from Evolving Skies. So the Rayquaza deck that we're going to be doing today is a rotation-proof, post-rotation Rayquaza VMAX deck. It's flaafy to accelerate some energy and recover energy from the discard pile, and Rayquaza VMAX can deal a lot of damage and draw you some cards if it's a zero pulse ability. So let's go ahead and get into the deck. Alright, so we've got the deck pulled up here, and as you can see, I don't own the cards for this deck, and that's because I genuinely despise this deck. Every time I play against it, it's so annoying. And the reason for that is because Rayquaza VMAX is one of the Dragon-type Pokemon that have returned in the Sword and Shield series. For the first few Sword and Shield sets, they didn't have Dragon-type Pokemon, but now they have brought them back, which is cool, but as you can see down here, they don't have a weakness, which makes them a little overpowered in my opinion. This makes it so there's really nothing you can do to counter them or expose their weakness because they have no weakness. So that's why I don't like this deck and I don't plan on playing it. And it seems a bit risky, but it is very powerful and it's going to stay strong in this new format, I believe. So let's start with the Pokemon. We have 4 copies of Rayquaza V. This is a Rapid Strike Pokemon, which is cool. I'm a big fan of the Rapid Strike stuff. You have 210 HP, Dragon type. It's got Dragon Pulse for 1 lightning energy. It does 40 damage and discards the top 2 cards of your deck. So not that great because, only 40 damage and you have to discard 2 cards. Not that great. Spiral Burst, though, is alright. Fire energy and lightning energy, 20 damage, and you can discard up to 2 fire or lightning energy from the Pokemon to do up to 160 more damage for a total of 180. So Rayquaza V can hold its own if you needed to, but you really want to get out your Rayquaza VMAX so you can hit hard with Max Burst. It's basically the same thing as Spiral Burst, but you do not have a cap on how many fire and lightning energy you can discard from Rayquaza, so it opens up the door for a lot more damage on this attack. In addition, you have the Zero Pulse ability. So this is kind of like Professor's Research, but a whole lot worse. It discards your hand and draws 3 cards. So obviously you probably wouldn't want to do this with a huge hand to discard that big hand and then just get 3 cards. Not that great, except you can use it sometimes to just dig a little bit deeper if you're just looking for that 1 card to finish out the game. Maybe a Boss's Orders or a Marnie or something else that you need. Then we have the engine that keeps this deck running. We have 3 Mareep in addition to 3 flaafy. So what flaafy does is it has Dynamator. Once during your turn, we attach a lightning energy card from your discard pile to one of your benched Pokemon. So with Rayquaza, you are discarding a lot of lightning energy and fire energy. And the fire energy, your goal is to just keep 1 on there so you can keep using the attack, and then discard energy, the lightning energy, and then attach it back with Dynamator. So your goal is to get out a bunch of flaafy and then have these set up so that way whenever you attack, you can immediately attach your lightning energy right back. Another card in here to accelerate some energy is Bolton V with Electrify. Can accelerate some lightning energy onto Rayquaza, and Bolt Storm can do a bit of damage later in the game if you use flaafy enough. Moving on to the trainer cards, we have some stadium cards here, which are really cool. I like these stadium cards. These are some very cool ones. If you want to, you probably could put Path to the Peak in this deck, because like I said, a Zero Pulse isn't a super essential ability. You don't necessarily need that. So if you want to, you could put Path to the Peak in here. But we have some other cool stadiums. So we have 1 copy of Tower of Waters. So this is a Rapid Strike one usually used in Rapid Strike Urshifu decks. But it says the retreat cost of each Rapid Strike Pokemon in play is 2 less. So while we do have some Air Balloon, we have the Tower of Waters in there, which gives Rayquaza VMAX free retreat because it is Rapid Strike. Another card that you may want to include in your Rayquaza VMAX deck to fit into this Rapid Strike engine is Zeraora V. So that does 100 damage and 160 to a bench if you attacked with Rayquaza VMAX. I didn't put it in here. This is just kind of an example. I think what you could do is maybe swap out these Boltons for Zeraora. Next we have 2 copies of Stormy Mountains. So this is a new one from Evolving Skies. There's lots of cards in Evolving Skies that obviously are kind of made for the Rayquaza VMAX deck. So this is once during each player's turn, the player may search your deck for a basic lightning Pokemon or a basic dragon Pokemon. If we look at our Pokemon, we have dragon types and we have lightning type Pokemon. So why wouldn't you put Stormy Mountains in here? It really helps you get set up. While you do have Quick Ball, this is awesome to consistently find those Pokemon and put them onto your bench. Next, moving on to supporter cards, there are 4 copies of Professor's Research. Discard your hand, draw 7 cards. This card is more essential than ever because there are no Dedenne GX in the format. While you do have Crobat V, that one in my opinion just isn't as good as Dedenne. So with Professor's Research, you can discard your hand, draw 7 cards. A lot better than a Zero Pulse. Then you have 3 copies of Marnie here. Shuffle your hand into your deck, draw 5, your opponent draws 4. Great for refreshing your hand and bringing your opponent's hand size down quite a bit if they have a large hand. And 3 copies of Boss's Orders, switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with their active Pokemon. So Rayquaza usually dishes out enough damage, sometimes enough to knock out a big Pokemon VMAX. Sometimes if you don't have enough energy, you need to bring up a Pokemon that's a little bit smaller to knock it out. So that's why there's Boss's Orders in here. These are the only 3 supporters. There's not really a specific support that caters to lightning type Pokemon or dragon type Pokemon in the format. So you just have these 3 basic supporters. If you wanted to though, you could probably include maybe Brawly to get yourself set up with some Rayquaza V. And Karina's Focus is another Rapid Strike supporter. So if you want to put those in your deck, you are free to do that. I know some people like to have a lot of fun with this Rapid Strike engine with cards like Octillery and other stuff. And then item cards, there are 4 Crushing Hammer. This is a card that goes in just about every deck. Super powerful. Flip coin. If heads, discard energy from one of your opponent's Pokemon. If tails, nothing happens, which is a bummer, but if you get heads, it can set your opponent back. You do want to be careful with this. I know a lot of decks are going with the route of Pokemon that accelerate energy from the discard pile. A lot of metal decks have the Metal Saucer to accelerate energy, and I played against a pretty powerful Colossal deck the other day. So with this Crushing Hammer, you may want to eventually take this out of your deck if we see enough decks that are playing cards that attach energy from the discard pile. Especially if you're running against another Rayquaza VMAX with Dynamator, the Crushing Hammer may not be that powerful. 3 copies of Evolution Incense. I decided to include more than just 2 copies of this because there are 7 evolution Pokemon in the deck and all of them are very essential. There's plenty of ways to get out your basic Pokemon by means of Stormy Mountains and Quick Ball, but to find your evolution Pokemon you will need that Evolution Incense to get your Rayquaza VMAX and Flaafy, so there's 3 copies of that card. Ordinary Rod, you have 1 copy. Choose one or both. Shuffle up to 2 Pokemon from your discard pile and shuffle up to 2 basic energy. Found this is good because in the previous format you could have run Fire Crystal to retrieve some energy from the discard pile, but I feel like Ordinary Rod's good. Shuffle some of those Pokemon back, so if you need to recover Flaffy, Bolton, Rayquaza, whatever, you can do that in addition to gain some of that energy discarded from Max Burst back into your deck. Then there are 4 copies of Quick Ball. This is one that goes in just about every deck because it allows you to easily find basic Pokemon. So you have that, so you can find Rayquaza V, Bolton, and Mareep. And then there is 3 copies of Switch. Switch your active Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. Switching is essential in just about every deck, but if you wanted to, you could include more copies of Tower of Waters, and maybe more copies of Air Balloons, and maybe some supporters that switch your active Pokemon for one of your bench Pokemon. So Switch is in this deck, but you do not have to include it if you don't want to. I know with Inteleon VMAX, I've seen there's usually more Air Balloon and no Switch, so that's what you can do with some of these decks. This one you might not necessarily need to switch out your Rayquaza VMAX fairly often, so you don't have to include the Switch if you don't want to. 2 Air Balloon, the retreat cost of the Pokemon this card is attached to is 2 less. This provides free retreat for every Pokemon in the deck. Bolton has 2. If you need to retreat Flaffy, you can do that with Air Balloon, not sure why, but Sure. And then Rayquaza VMAX 2 into retreat cost, so you can retreat with Air Balloon. And then finishing out the trader cards, you have one copy of Rapid Strike Scroll of the Flying Dragon. And just by looking at the artwork, and you can see that it's Rapid Strike, it's very obviously for Rayquaza VMAX. So it says the Rapid Strike Pokemon, this card is attached to you, can use the attack on this card. And hey, would you look at that? It's Fire and Lightning Energy. Just the energies we're running in this deck for Rayquaza VMAX. So Meteor says discard 2 energy from this Pokemon. This attack does 90 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. Again, this isn't something that you necessarily have to include in your deck, but something I wanted to put in here because I thought these scroll cards are really neat, and it'd be cool to use this with Rayquaza VMAX. If you wanted to snipe something on the bench, Meteor is a great way to do that. And then finishing it out with the energy cards, you have 5 copies of Fire Energy and 8 copies of Lightning Energy. This is just kind of what I did, putting these energy in here, but it's all up to you. If you want to go maybe a route of accelerating Fire Energy, you could do that. If you wanted to take out these flaafy and maybe lean towards more of the Fire Energy side of things, you could do more Fire Energy, less Lightning Energy, or vice versa. Depends on what you want and what you found works in your games playing this deck. Obviously, I haven't played it, so I'm not sure. Let me know in the comments what you think, if you should include more Fire Energy or less, or more Lightning Energy or less. That's the deck overall. Rayquaza VMAXs dish out a lot of damage in addition to Bolt and V, its friend, and if you want to include Zero or V, you could do a lot of that. This deck is super annoying and very consistent, and like I pointed out earlier, it has no weakness. This makes it super strong and definitely a very powerful option if you're looking to play this for the new format. One thing I wanted to point out here at the end, if you're looking to play this card physically, you're gonna need a little bit of cash because Rayquaza VMAX is about $36 for just one copy of Rayquaza VMAX. Now, obviously, you're gonna need 3 or 4. Rayquaza V is also like $10. And if you're looking to be a little flashy, you might not want to do that because the alternate art of Rayquaza VMAX is $255, which is kind of ridiculous for a shiny piece of cardboard. So this may be a deck that you just play online, maybe not in real life, because it would cost quite a bit to get all of these Rayquaza VMAX and Rayquaza V that you would need for the deck. That's going to do it for the deck breakdown of Rayquaza VMAX. Sorry I wasn't able to do some gameplay of this deck because I don't own the cards, but I knew it was a very popular deck right now, and one that I've played against several times, so I've had some experience with it. If you enjoyed, give the video a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, it always helps me out. Leave me a comment, what do you think of Rayquaza VMAX? Do you find it just as annoying as I do? And hit the notification bell so you don't miss new videos when they're uploaded. I upload every Monday and Thursday. Well, that's it for me. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye, trainers.